Got a few seconds to set everything up. Apologies. I'll show you what I'm doing. Sometimes I get it done in time, sometimes I don't. All right. So there we go. All right. So I am stitching in a gusset today on this case, portfolio case. Most of you probably have been following this will know exactly what this is. This is a portfolio case with extendable handles, so it can be used under the arm or with handle extended, carried much like a briefcase for laptops, documents, and all sorts of things. And today I'm stitching in the gusset, so this top piece here, if I just lift this up, you can see this is the gusset here, and we've taken out a wedge there to make an overlap skive, so it goes down and it's concave all the way along. There we go. So that's what I'm doing. And this is a tricky, I say this is the hard way. I'm not actually putting prick marks like I did on the interior and the exterior and then matching them up. This is going to be stitched using the traditional way with awl and thread, because there's multiple layers. You've got the linings going through there. You've also got the lining of the gusset. You've also got your document pockets as well and things like that. And after a while, trying to make holes in things with your pricking line and then trying to match up so many layers together starts to become a little bit like, you know, you're trying to make it easier for yourself by taking 5 times longer to do it. And I enjoy using needle thread and awl. What I am going to do is, because of the concave nature and the dark color, just off camera, I'm going to put a little light bulb up here so I can actually see. These are really handy. These are just little light bulbs on clips. I got them on Amazon a while ago. I got like a few of them, I think. They're really handy. Just add a little bit of light. It's a bit fierce on my face there, but now I can see on the inside of the gusset more clearly, especially as I'm using tonal thread. The same color, basically. On the inside, I do have a line to follow. This is my crease line. So I push the awl through and make sure it comes out just underneath the crease line. And whenever you're using an awl, you want to make sure that you're keeping everything very consistent in the way that you're doing things, the same technique every single time. Much like stitching in general, but it's a little bit more important. So you're pushing it through the same way, the angle in your hand is the same, you're pushing it the same angle through the leather. Adam Harkness, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hope everyone's doing well on this random Tuesday live. So what I am going to do though is turn down the fire behind me. It was cold in this room earlier and it's heated up pretty quick. Just going to go and turn that down. Oh, it's going to get a bit warm in here. So how are you doing at the moment? Was it you that was telling me that you're off with an injury? Was it you? Or who was it? Someone in the last live. Hello from Kansas, USA. Says Ronnie. Hello, Ronnie. All right, whenever I think Kansas, I always think tornadoes. Is that true? Do you guys get a lot of tornadoes? Or is it just the Wizard of Oz that put you guys on the map for bad weather? Says the Brit. Torn meniscus, that's right, yeah. I was thinking knee or shoulder. I mean, I'd ask you how that's repairing, but that kind of thing is slow, isn't it? It takes a very long time. Well, I hope you're feeling better anyway. Yeah, that type of injury sucks. Changed my mind. I'm going to have this a little bit higher. So I'll do that first. Bring that in a little bit more. Hopefully take out some of the flex. If I have it on the side that I'm actually stitching, that might be a benefit as well. Can only go as far as that because the lock's in the way, but that's fine, that'll do. Good. Stiffen that up a little bit. Just moving you guys around. Make sure you got a front row seat. Oh yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah, I've got some weights down. I've placed this on a stool that I usually use. I'm going to get the right height and the right comfort level. And today I'm using a Wooter leather all halved, the handle, and a kind of a vintage Joseph Dixon all blade that I put into it. I have to say I like the combination. The handle's a little bit nicer than the Dixon ones in general, but the blade on the Dixon is way better than the Wooter leather one, which kind of sucks. Or at least takes quite a bit of work to get good. The Wooter leather awl is actually pretty good value, but it's a very squarish diamond-shaped awl blade, which makes holes in your leather that look like it was done by a stitching chisel. So you kind of have to file down the kind of the facets, leaving the blades, and then smooth it off a little bit. It can be done, but it's just not ideal. So I can feel I'm going through the thicker part here, the document pockets. After this, it's just edge finishing along here. And putting in the hasp, which is the part that connects to the lock on the zip. So you making anything at the moment, Adam? So I know you're off work, so there are no excuses. So I'm going to stitch this down to the bottom, and just before we go into the curve around the bottom of the gusset, I'm going to stop and transition into another piece of thread so that we can keep that transition away from the curve, the area of basically high stress or high wear, and switch that over. It's true, we've had quite a few weather events in the past week, tornadoes all around us. Are you serious? I've always wanted to see a tornado. I kind of have seen the beginnings of one when I lived in Canada once. I was in Hamilton, Ontario, and I did see one in the sky. It was creepy looking. It's really bizarre seeing one, especially for a Brit. We have had tornadoes in the UK, and people have had their like roofs taken off and stuff like that, but obviously nothing compared to you guys. A water spout would be fun to see as well. That'd be really interesting. Passport wallet, the same leather that you use for the envelope course. Oh, okay. Not Vachetta. Saffiano. Don't know why, I always struggle to remember Saffiano. It's very rare that I actually get it first try. I had to stop and think. Don't know why. So I'm always looking at that awl blade as it comes out and kind of referencing it against the crease line that I created. I always usually do it that way. I keep meaning to try out another method similar to what people would use on a stitching chisel. You know, normally you make a line with a wing dividers or something. You put the point of the stitching chisel down the line itself. Well, why not come in a little bit more, make a line and aim for it with the tip of the awl blade? That's something I've never actually tried doing. Keep meaning to. Probably end up being slightly more accurate, actually. Also fixing some horse reins for a close friend. Oh, that's nice. Yes, kind of the Leathercraft equipment that gets the most use, isn't it? Horse tack, saddlery gear. I'm looking forward to finishing off these edges. So far the gussets come out very nice. Quite happy with that. I'm gonna stop shortly right before that turn at the end here, and then I'll show you kind of what we're working with. I'll take it out the clams and let you guys see. LX Ender says, hello from New Zealand, it's currently 1 a.m. Wanted to get your thoughts on using a deep crease line to sink stitching to prevent wear on thread, if you're aware that it works. Yes, it would do. If if the crease line is deep enough and wide enough and the thread is thin enough, then I see no reason that it wouldn't work. However, if you're looking to get nice angles, the straight stitch will be better because it will stay within that groove. If you start making slits with a pricking iron through it, stitching chisel, awl blade, at those angles, then you'll have that kind of slight uptick on the stitching and it will begin to go outside of it. So it'll be, it's doable, it's certainly doable. But keeping it in, I mean, the best thing is just test, right? To see if it works. Experiment a little bit on some scrap leather and see if the result is what you're looking for. I don't think it would be that much stronger than, say, using a grooving tool, unless you're using thin leathers or something. One of my favorites techniques that I did that kind of like that was I was making a turned edge knife sheath. It was a knife sheath course that I did that was everything on it was turned edge. There was no raw edges on it. And in order to get that kind of deep groove and keep the stitches inside the groove, what I did is underneath it was made of vegetable tan leather. And I took out a couple of grooves worth width-wise. And then I used thin chrome tan goat skin on the outside to actually wrap everything, and the wrap goes in the groove and then out the groove, so that you can have these nice chunky thick stitches at nice angles, but it's below the surface of the leather and there's nothing visibly cut out of it, which was quite interesting. I can't say I've ever used that technique on other projects, but it was unique, which is what I was looking for. Adam said it's content? A horse kid that I was asked to make some leather trousers for a steampunk friend, but I had to draw the line. Yeah, I can imagine leather clothing would be quite difficult. I guess you'd have to be good at making regular fabric clothes first and then transition that, but I wouldn't know where to start making some leather trousers. But interesting you say trousers. Thank you for translating it for us English people. Because if you wrote pants, that's something different here. That's your underwear. YouTube is giving me suggestions of questions to ask people. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's asking me to ask you guys if anyone else is in the same time zone as me. That actually rarely happens on our live. Don't know why it keeps asking, recommending I ask random questions. What was your most embarrassing moment in the last month? Just weird stuff. Maybe they've got a drive on to help more people get involved in YouTube lives. Okay, so I'm going to transition my thread over, so I'm going to get another piece. I think that's where I got the idea from. Okay, knife sheath video on Instagram. I'm not a fan of the groover, but wanted a way to sync the thread for dog collars. Ah, yeah, for practical reasons. Yeah, I mean, dog collars usually require, because they take a beating, right? They get wet and then dry and then wet and then dry and then everything else in brambles that goes by it. I think you might struggle to put the thick enough thread into it and keep it below the surface to be practical. I don't know. You'd have to test it out. You'd have to test it out, and you might have to end up using some poly thread or something just a little bit more durable in that department. Stretch my thread here. I'm planning a knife sheath, a fold-over type with a bound edge. Oh, very nice. Yeah, and that I take it that's for. Is it for a folder itself? I've been eyeing up a buck 110 folder. I had one once. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened to it. It's a great knife. I don't like the steel so much, the 420 high carbon. They do, I think there's an S30V version and even a Magna Cut, but it's kind of them more modern looking. I like the traditional kind of rosewood and brass of the original. I'd love to maybe buy like a donor and get like a knife maker to swap out the steel for some, I don't know, Magna Cut or something a little bit more exotic. Guys, I'm just going to melt the wax into the thread. I'll just hold it over the gas fire over there. Just to melt in a little bit more. Let's get it away from the surface. Just kind of like pull it across the opening. So that it all melts inside. I find this definitely helps with polyester thread as well. Sometimes with poly thread, it starts to look a little bit worse for wear towards the end of your seam, and putting the wax inside seems to help reduce that. Not so much on the outside because it just gets scraped off. So a drop point hunting knife I bought from a maker a few years back. It's taken this long to make a sheath. Oh man, I also have taken years to make a sheath for a knife. I actually recently got a stock factory sheath and just redid it. Took all the stitching out and restitched it and burnished the edges and waxed it up properly. It's from a Camillus, which are not like the most premium knife maker in the world, but it's one of their versions. It's made in the US. It's with 1095 steel. Again, nothing remarkable, but it's a Nesmuk style knife, which is interesting. Nesmuk, or whatever it's called. Alright, so a new thread going on, another pair of needles. This is for the changeover. So 3 little locks. Yeah, knife sheaths are quite fun, I find. It's been a while since I've actually, a year ago I think was the last time I made one. I bought a knife blank and some micarta scales and some pins and that kind of thing, and kind of made my own knife. I mean, not really. Made by Brissa, which is a Finnish company. The Brissa Trapper. And I made some, did The leather I use, I'm not 100% happy with it. I think it was just a little bit thin. I like a slim sheath. I don't like a massive sheath and then kind of a dinky knife comes out of it. It seems just like a waste of real estate. I actually like something that's form-fitting, safe, but no more bulk than necessary. I'm not a big bulky knife sheath fan. It's just not my style. Especially ones that are just really heavy, like way more than the knife. Okay, so I'm putting the new thread in. So you've got 2 sets of needles, 4 needles going on here in total. Okay. I get my first casted stitch in so that it doesn't move and it's nice and tight. Good, and then take the old ones. Couple of locks on that one. Good. And thread snips. Make sure we snip the old ones and not the new one. That'd be a bit of a disaster. And hopefully we should have enough thread now to finish this gusset off. I made one from bridle for another knife. That one is thick with 2 Ks. Should be 2 Cs, no? This one I'm thinking about using 2mm bridle hide to keep it a bit more slimmer and lighter since it's slightly smaller knife. See, I use 2.2 mil on a knife with, I think the blade is 100 mil. Or just, no, it was 90 something. What's that in old money? Yeah, 3 3/4 inches, not exactly a big knife. I felt that was too thin. That was too thin for me. I should have stuck to 2.5, 2.8, something like that. I think would have been more ideal. It wasn't that the leather wasn't firm and it's wet molded to it. It just doesn't feel quite substantial enough. It works perfectly fine. It just wasn't quite thick enough. Sometimes you can only really find these things out once you've actually made it, unfortunately. I just keep all my knives blunt, so there's no need for sheaths. I never thought of doing that. That's pretty genius, I must admit. That is pretty genius. Yeah, just stick them in your pocket. Not even, yeah. Throw them in with the keys, all good. So we're going round the bottom of the gusset now. And what I like to do is if I look at the radius of the bottom of the gusset, I did promise I'd show you guys. I like to imagine there's a dot in the center of the radius, and as I'm going around, I index against the prick mark on the outside, which is there. And I point the awl towards the center of the radius. So as I go around, it transitions like so. And then you can get consistently slightly smaller stitches going around the inside. Of course, you can normally, if you prick mark both sides, you could have 3.85 on the outside and then 3.38 or 3mm on the inside. And hopefully you don't need to lose much by the way of stitches. So that is... I'm stitching over. So these are the stitches here. It's difficult to see because they're the same color. And they're also got bits of wax on them so they don't look the greatest. But that's where I'm stitching around now. You can see it's a little transition. If I move it around, there's a little line there. That's an overlap skive. A lot of people actually cut out a full wedge. I don't cut out a wedge, so to speak. I have two skives, one going like that, and they're actually level with each other. And then it's a little challenging. It's a more advanced technique, but they're like this. And then as you pull the leather in, they overlap, and the thickness is maintained the same all the way around. And it also transitions a little bit better too, I find. Does this knife look sharp? Could be like a more threatening version of this. Does this rag smell of chloroform? That's not a knife. I always think of Crocodile Dundee when talking about knives. Such a classic scene. I haven't seen that film in ages. So a little trickier on this part. And this is the area that's kind of seen the most as well when you're looking down at the case. So you want to take your time with it. And get it right. My current project is an elephant watch strap, just waiting to be edge painted at home. It says censored. Elephant watch strap, yeah. Was it like a real elephant skin? I can't say I've seen that for sale anywhere. It's a very controversial leather. Any maker that I've seen use it and post about it, even by other leather workers, gets a bit of a hard time. Maybe that's the reason behind your handle. Yeah, it's an interesting looking skin though. Yeah, these stitches on the inside, because it's a reasonably thick layer, maybe 5 millimeters in, they've shrunk right down to like 3 millimeters. Yeah, real elephant. Interesting leather to work with. Not that different to cow or horse. I mean, it looks very different, obviously. Yeah. As long as it's CITES documented, it should be ethical as others. Yeah, I mean, it's elephants are killed as part of the culling plan all the time. I mean, there's probably some areas of the world where, you know, they're protected, and I think that's what a lot of people think about. But yeah, no, there's very much a culling program that goes on for the benefit of other wildlife, flora, fauna, and the elephants themselves. So, you know, meat doesn't go to waste. Why should the leather? Why should the hide? So going over the transition now. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of this. If pre-punching around a radius on both sides, 2 different sizes, do the irons have to be the same brand, like 2 sets from KS? Or can you get away with using KS on one side and Kevin Lee on the other? Oh, 100% you can get away with using different brands. That's fine. Again, it's always good to test, just to double check everything works as you want it. But yeah, if you're going around a radius, should be no problem. Of course, you want one to be reverse pricking iron. But especially if you're using an awl, the awl will just cut to its exact same dimensions every single time. So if you're going through a prick mark on the other side that's thinner, it will just open it up to the same every single time. So you can do it that way. But if you're looking to avoid using an awl, yeah, I mean, as long as it's consistent, you might have one stitch that looks a little bit different, but the rear side usually looks a little different anyway. So I don't know if many people would be able to tell. All right. Let's see if that stays upright. Doubt it. Actually, let's turn it this way. Jaswin Irish. It says correct awl blade width. Assume you're referencing what we were just talking about. Phil, what's your favorite awl these days? Favorite awl? I'm going to be boring and say, you know, the Jerome David awl, the titanium awl. This one here. That'd be probably overall my favorite, just because of the quality, the adjustability, the machining on it. It's just very nice. I'm not using it on here because I just fancied using something different, if I'm honest. And it's got a vintage. The awl haft is by Wouter Leather, but the blade is a vintage Dixon, and I just kind of thought, it's probably going to work quite nicely on this, due to the style of the bag, but no particular reason. Overall, yeah, if I had to pick one awl, it would probably be that. I'm a sucker for awls in general. Yeah, that one's great. Oh, sorry, current awl blade width. This one's actually a little bit variable. As you can see, it kind of tapers. So if I was going to go, I won't use the phrase balls deep, but something along those lines. If I was going to go all the way in, we are looking at precisely 2.68 millimeters. So a little over 2.5. something like that. But obviously that would be like down to 2 around here, then at 1.8, and then, you know, everywhere down to 0. So it's the width of the slit is basically dependent on how far I push it in. Okay. Sometimes there's just no way to make something not rude, no matter how hard you try. So you just got to lean in, you know. But yeah, I'm just poking the tip through, so it's it's not opening up that much. Oh, don't make me giggle. You started it, just remember that, all right? Just using the tip could be great at times, yeah. What about the linen? The thread, linen or polyamide? It's a poly thread on this one, mainly because I wanted to use I wanted to use the same color as the exterior, and the linen thread that I have, which I would have used, it wasn't quite matching. I did some tests on different colors, greens that I had, and this one had the nicest color match, which I found quite nice. I had a house with a very low back door. It took me 2 times before I learned. Oh, yeah. One last question, and better get some sleep. How many times did you hit your head on the beam? I thought you were referring to that, yeah, before you remembered to duck. I still hit my head on the beam, basically. It's one of those things that's, especially if I'm wearing a hat or something like that. A few times I've walked in still wearing a hat, and it just smacked my head. So I've had a few factory resets already. Unfortunately, a couple of them pretty bad, but you know, it happens. Yeah, I don't know why that's so low. It's just a feature, I guess. We have a skull for a reason, so just keep at it until the beam collapses. Do you know what I was thinking of doing? Is actually getting, you know, like 10 mil of like 1/2 inch foam, craft foam or something, high density foam in brown, and then kind of just sticking it to the underside and just having a bit of a lip of it come around here. Just molding it around with heat, so it doesn't look terrible, but if you were to hit your head, although it would lower it by 1 centimeter as well, wouldn't it? But yeah, probably save my noggin. A bit less of an impact. Snap, that's really low, yeah. Notch out a head-shaped square. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am in relation to it. Do a golfing with dwarf walk under it every time. Either I'm not down with the lingo or there's a typo in there. Dwarf on Golf is an old comedy video with a guy walking on his knees. Oh, okay. Juggernaut, yeah. Yeah, I'm 8'7". That's like yeah, just get on my knees. Yeah, it's not quite limbo level, but it's usually when I've bent down to pick up something from the second table, I stand up again and I don't realize that I've moved a little bit too far back, and then bang, it gives me lets me know it's there all of a sudden. Physics kicks in. My brain goes fuzzy for a bit, everything gets a bit spinny, and then I'm okay. Go and have a cup of tea, I'll be all right. It's not great, no. Share something with you guys, actually, unrelated to hitting my head. I bought a load of these bottles online. They were like super cheap, like a few pounds for a dozen of them. And they have like a nozzle like that. Recently, I've been, I like using solvent-based contact adhesive. But what I don't like is opening a tin, or what I used to have, which is like a glue pot. And that it lets out so much fumes and it dries the glue out as well, but it's also not great to breathe that in all the time. It's like chemical castration, that stuff. It's really bad for you. But I've been buying the tubes, like the 30-gram tubes and that, and they're almost as expensive as a full 250-gram tin. So I thought, let's see if we can buy some, like these are 50 ml bottles, and put them in there, and hey presto, it works really good. It's easy to put down a layer of contact adhesive, and you're not breathing in any more fumes than necessary because it's basically sealed bottle. You know, I'll still pop a window open and use a fan if it's a larger surface area, and I'll still need to open the tin or something if I need to, like, put a big surface area of it down. Not that I do very often. But yeah, no, I thought I'd share that with you. I found them on Amazon. There's a couple of packs of them. And you could just dispose of them. They're not like super high quality or anything, but I really don't care. All it has to do, then once it's finished, I don't know if that would go in the recycling, but I just, yeah, throw it away. Suppose you could refill it, but then you might have some concentrated glue left in it. It's not worth it. But yeah, especially if, like, for the I used it on this gusset here because, of course, if you don't have the strongest glue possible, sometimes as you're stitching, it begins to come apart, which is not ideal. as you're stitching, if it's starting to come apart, it makes it a real pain. So that's what I've used it from on first. And it took literally 10 seconds on the inside and 10 seconds on the gusset to lay the glue down. Just thought I'd share that little hack with you. I have used one of those sauce bottles before, like a Wilton bottle. Sometimes you see them in, it's almost like the ones you see in cafes, and where they've, you can ketchup in one and mustard in the other, but clear and a bit smaller with a spout and a thing that comes off. I've used that before, but the amount of air that gets put into it as it goes down, it starts to thicken up quite a bit. This, before it thickens up, you'll be finished it. So that's the idea. Just a little bit more precision and less fumes breathed in. Don't know if I'd make a video about that, but I thought I'd share that on a live. Let people know my experimentations. The bottle looks great for snorting the glue. I can't say I've thought about doing that, but I will now. If it gets that bad, if the project gets difficult. Personal favorite tannery. Personal favorite tannery. That's a difficult one to answer because I don't think one tannery does any one thing the best. If you know what I mean. Like there are some that are very good for goat skins, and some very good for exotics. Veg tan. I'm not a big tannery. Like I wouldn't say I was a tool guy either. Like some people love buying the best, the most expensive, or the most exotic tools available. I'm kind of like a function. Does it do what I need it to do? And I'm very much the same with leather. I always like, if I can, to buy in person and kind of feel the leather and test the leather and take a sample. Some tanneries are good for some things and not as great for others. It really depends. That's quite a hard question to answer. The real answer is I don't know. Yeah, there's been a lot of times I've used some leather that I've really liked and I've no idea what tannery it came from, and people are asking me and I'm like, I don't know, I got it from this supplier and they didn't say. Baker's is pretty good if you like bridal hide and veg tan. That's always pretty good. At least after sniffing the glue, the head to beam impact might not hurt as much. Yeah. My favorite out of left field tannery, Ruddermaker. The soft vegetable tan Hokuo is a dream to work with. Oh, that's cool. I can't say I've tried that. I've tried from the tannery before. How in the world do you get the glue into the small bottle? It's very simple. You open the top like so. Nope, you don't do that. You open the top like so. Take the tin lid off. And you hope and pray. And I didn't spill a drop actually. And then get it in there and then just wipe the excess off with a spatula. Put it in and Bob's your uncle. Yeah, probably what I should get is one of those little funnels, that they have for hip flasks. It's a little plastic funnel. No, but it actually worked just fine. It just went in a bead. I hope I have enough thread. Pretty sure I do. Where do you buy your leather from in the UK? Any suggestions where you can actually feel the leather before buying it? A few different places that I've got from in the past. Some that you just can't buy from unless you're a large brand that I was just lucky enough to get involved with. Where do I go? Bachelors is one good. That's good for JT Bachelors. They get a lot of imports from Belgian tanneries. A lot of bridal leather and vegetable tan leather. I like JT Bachelors. You've got Alma leather. They're good for more skins and things, where you can actually go and feel for them. There's a few other places that I pop into and I might get a few skins or hides and that kind of thing. Walter Reginald is another one. I think they've moved recently. I don't think I've been to their new place. Sometimes you can find some real bargains and gems and overstock and things like that as well, which is always fun. But yeah, getting to go through and pick your own hides is definitely an asset, because you're never going to get someone else doing that for you that works for the company. They're just going to take it off the top of the pile, and there might be some blemishes in there might be some scratches in there, and if they're not seeing it because they're not looking at it with your eye. It really depends. I mean, if you trust the company or you've been there in person and then you build a rapport with them, it's a little easier ordering online. But yeah, there's always a little bit of risk involved online. Some companies are pretty good at grading leather and saying that it's, a B grade or A grade and that kind of thing, and you can get to trust them a little bit. But for super premium stuff as well, I would buy in person if you're spending a lot of money. I usually refill glue by sucking on a hose like when I steal gas. Yeah, I guess that's one way of doing it. So I've currently got about 6 times the length of the seam in thread. However, this is a very thick seam, so we will have to see how much thread I will have left upon arrival. I may be on fumes by the time I get there, but we'll see. Do I like pull-up leather? If so, which one? Generally, no. It's just not my thing. It works to a certain style, like pull-up leather aprons or pull-up leather tote bags or kind of like wallets that are a little bit more relaxed in nature. I think it can work quite well. It's just not my personal cup of tea, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it if you like pull-up leather and, Some people really like the effect. I just don't find it particularly charming. That's all. Thanks for the information. Says Rolly, I have a lot of trouble with gluing my leather. I get it all over the place. I'm going down to my leather shop and I'll try that right after the video is over. Yeah. Well, you're talking about these. So these were, if you're talking about these are from Amazon. Just put in 50 mil glue pots. I think they're also used for like people dye their hair or whatever. I don't know. But they, you'll see 15 different uses in the title of it. Small glue bottle, hair dye, fun project, craft ideas, unisex. You know, the usual. Then they can also be used for writing stuff on cakes in cake decorating. But yeah, glue can be a bit messy, and I do find I tend to waste a lot less glue. Glue's getting expensive. Is it just me? I find the price of glue has shot up in the last few years, like over inflation. But no, that's the same with a lot of things, really. Yeah, nothing new there. Then you have glue on your hand and it sticks to the wall as well. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to go places in life, don't stick your hand to a wall. I think we might just do it, folks. We might just do it. We might just get the seam finished with some back stitches in there as well. So a couple of back stitches to start with and a couple to finish. Just strengthens the thread, obviously, but also adds more surface area for the load. So it's better for the leather. The worst part of gluing is when you hold down the piece you're gluing with a finger and you get glue on the finger and then the piece sticks to your finger, so you use your other hand to push it. Yeah, sticky situation. You didn't quite read that correctly, probably not. See where you're going. Better get some sleep. It's nearly 2 a.m. Thanks for your insights, Phil. Much appreciated. Oh yeah, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. Wow, that flew by. Yeah, this is a long ass seam. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Get some sleep. Have a good night. Which edge beveler do I use? I have a whole plethora of edge bevelers somewhere. The ones I used I bought years ago. They're unbranded. No idea who makes them. I think I bought them on AliExpress. They bevel well. They give me the result that I'm looking for. You know, I could go out and look for, you know, like what's it, expensive ones like Barry King or Palo Santo or that kind of thing. But they do the job that I require them to do with minimal amounts of sharpening. So I don't really, as I said earlier in the thing, I'm not really that into tools. It just has to perform a function. I like making my own tools sometimes, but I'm not much of a collector outside of kind of like vintage pricking irons and a few, vintage irons here and there, awls and such. I like the old stuff mainly. This is getting quite difficult to do. Just should have gone for just a little bit, like, 6 more inches would have been perfect. But it's fine. We'll make it. We'll make it. I'm pretty sure we'll make it. I think we'll make it. I hope we make it. Let's... Almost done, guys. So we'll definitely get to the end. Just try and get those back stitches in as well. Six more inches and it would have been perfect for something I hear way too often. It's funny. So, 2 more. And a little fiddly this end piece. So going through the zip tape on this one now. There we go. I can put that down now. Back stitches. And one more. And do a couple of casts on that one just to create essentially 2 overhand knots in the end there. As long as your leather is thick enough to receive. So there we go, gusset stitched on in place. So it needs tapping down, a little bit of puckering going on there, because it needs to be stitched in quite tightly, because otherwise when you look inside here, you'll see potentially glue line stitches themselves, so that needs to be stitched in. Rear side, considering it's all stitched whilst doing a live and having conversations and answering questions is pretty good. I'm happy with that. So the next stage of that will be edge finishing, sanding that down, beveling it, squeezing it in, making it a little bit thinner, just so using pressure itself, and then edge finishing that black, just like the rest of it, rest of the edges all the way around. But yeah, Let's try closing it up. Obviously this, I need a puller, zip puller. So there you go. So that's it zipped up. And obviously it's far from finished. So that's the case. Nice and lightweight, slimline profile, fits a laptop. I think this is one of the projects I'm actually gonna use. I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm just putting a round all in there for now so that I can actually use it. Yeah, but there's your inside. So you got a document folder on here, document pocket on here. You've got your card holders there. And you've got a pen loop at the front, and you've got one at the back as well, so you can put pens in there. And yeah, and then eventually the hasp that connects to the top of the lock will be attached to the zip so that it kind of locks the zip in place. Love that color, very nice work. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's actually pretty close to what I'm seeing on the screen as well, depending on whether your iPhone or... Oh no, iPhone uses Samsung screens anyway, don't they? So it will be kind of similar to what I'm seeing here. Yeah, it's like a rich racing green, British racing green, which is what I wanted for like the old vintage, you know, the old Lotus racing cars back in the day. They were that British racing green with that yellow stripe, and then Aston Martin kind of like started doing the same. Jaguar did the same for a bit as well. It was kind of like that British racing color scheme a little bit, which is where the inspiration comes from. But yeah, I love it. And this is going to darken a little bit over time. This is vachetta. It will. I mean, you can see the bottoms of the handles there, even just where it's been on the table, even though it remains protected. It really wants the patina on the handles, on the corners. So if you're making this product for, you know, for customers and you're using vachetta, you want to be mindful of that. I actually like it. It kind of gives it a little bit more character on this, because it's not designed to be perfect in the sense that it's got a lot of color variation and depth to it. It's not monotone. Like the interior is just a full coating. There's no character outside of kind of the growth lines that you can kind of see from, because it's from a shoulder, but it's the idea is you can wipe it clean, but the outside, it has that depth in it, and I like that. So it's going to develop that patina and that character over time, which is one of the reasons I love vachetta. And it's not like the vachetta that you get from Louis Vuitton, because they put a pigmented coating over it now. It's no longer like the vintage Louis Vuitton handles and trunks and bags that you see that have got that kind of rich patina. These days, if you take a look at it, you can actually see it's completely coated, or I guess mostly. Some might get some patina over time, but people don't like it, I guess. But yeah, that really looks great. Thank you, Ronnie. How is the Crimson Hide All? Do you use them? Actually have it right here. We're using the pipe, talking about the pipe all. I think someone else mentioned that I have a review in it. Yeah, so it's this one. It is nice. It is nice. I loved it originally. And I used it for quite a while. The all blades on them are nice as well. They're not too faceted and squarish. Why don't I use it anymore? I actually put it out, which is the reason why I grabbed it so quickly, because I saw that the other day. I thought, I want to use that again. I might have used that for years. It does take a little getting used to, but it's quite intuitive in the sense that it moves in and out of your fingers a little bit better than a regular awl, because you can almost hinge on this one. And it does kind of look like a pipe, doesn't it? One little trick that I've done on here that I need to adjust is I put a little hot melt glue on there. Originally it didn't do it, but after a while of a bit of use, and you can't really turn the brass grub screw or set screw, depending on what you want to call it, too hard because it's made of brass. And there isn't a facet on the shaft of the blade, so it indexes against that, if you know what I mean. It's not like the system that you have here. They're not the same system. This one connects back here and you can rotate the handle around it to get a different all blade angle, but this one, it just comes in and out and you can rotate it. But I just use a little hot melt glue, and if you want to change the angle, which is going to be rare, you just kind of move it over a flame until it gets warm, adjust it, tighten it, and it kind of stays there. But yeah, it did rotate on me after a couple of times. The review I did, I think I say that it doesn't rotate, and it didn't in the beginning, but after a little bit of use, I think that the little brass grub screw loses its bite on the shaft. It's just completely rounded. It's hot melted in, so I can't take it out and show you. Well, do I have? Yeah, I have two blades. This is a small one, and you can see it's just perfectly round. So it can rotate, unfortunately. But if it did have a facet, like a flat spot, it would have to index against that. I wonder if, and then you'd have to turn the ferrule just like the Jerome David one, which means you would have to have something extending through the handle that you can then rotate. It gets a bit more complicated and then more expensive. But I do like it. I wish it came, after a while, I wish it came just a little bit smaller in the hand. And because if you look at the total mass, where have I put it? I literally just put it down. That's weird. Oh, there it is. It's camouflaged. If you look at the mass difference, if you have like XXL hands or something, it might, yeah. And it still does work. I just wish it was just a little bit smaller in the hand. But yeah, I do like it. I do like it. It's different. It might be what we call here in the UK the Marmite effect, which is like you either love it or you hate it. I don't think people hate it, but I think people either really like it or they just won't get along with it as well as a regular one, because it is a little bit different in that sense. But I would say I'm in the camp of I do like it. So I need to give it some more use again and get used to it. But yeah, different. Oh, Tiago, good afternoon from Portugal. I'm just leaving. Right, while I have you guys, before I do leave, as I always say at the end, don't forget to get your free video on how to hand stitch at leathercraftmasterclass.com. Stick your email in the pop-up and I will send you an email immediately with your free video. And again, if you don't want to be on the subscriber lists, you can always unsubscribe, but there's tons of free stuff coming out. There's going to be an email campaign coming out with a free video that's available now for you guys. That's going out on the email campaign. Notifications about blogs, and I've just dropped another blog last night. It's how to wrap. It's this. How to wrap a skiving knife in leather without a beginning or an end. That's on the blog post. So there's also like on the email list, there's loads of like free stuff that I put out there for the email list, as well as notifications on the latest course, a new blog, a new podcast, and that kind of thing. But thank you guys for the conversation. Thanks for joining in and asking questions and interacting. It's always good fun when everyone does that. And I will see you very soon, because there's still a little bit more to be done on this. So there's more things for you to pick up and learn. And any questions in the meantime, save it for the live, and I'll see you then. For the rest of you, have a good day. Enjoy your Tuesday. Cheers.